Hello and welcome to the Archetype Barbershop YouTube channel. And today we have Arlo in our chair, and we're going to be talking to him a little bit and hearing a little bit of his story that he would like to share today.
Awesome.
All right. And so Arlo, we're going to do the regular haircut, correct?
Just the regular. Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you.
So I know last time you were in here, we wanted to talk a little bit about the real estate and like how you started and how all that came along.
Yeah. So I've been doing this now 13 years, full-time real estate broker in San Diego. I moved here from Korea, and at the time I'd been living in Korea for a little over 2 years, 2.5, something like that. And just, it lost its allure, I guess. I wasn't excited about living in Korea anymore. So I wanted to pursue a career that I plan on doing for life. And I wanted to pursue that career somewhere where people pay to go on vacation. So to me, San Diego's the place.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I'm very outdoorsy. I like to not worry about rain and basically plan my schedule around what I want to do,
Right.
apart from weather. And to me, that was San Diego. So I think it was 2008. I bought a one-way ticket and I arrived here on a Sunday. Had signed up for my in-person real estate course at Anthony's School of Real Estate on Balboa Avenue starting Monday morning.
Wow.
And it's kind of funny because I guess how serious I took it. I was there, I had to do in person. I didn't want to do the online course. I showed up 8 o'clock in the morning, jet lagged from having lived, just
Yeah.
arriving from Korea.
What's the time difference on that?
I believe it's 9 hours.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
sure it's like 9. Yeah, and then there's, even the time difference is substantial, but then the travel time.
Right.
I think I either went to San Francisco from Seoul to San Francisco, but getting to Seoul was like 3 hours.
Okay.
So it's a decent amount of travel time. Yeah, so then I came here and 8 o'clock in the morning, I walk in, I go to the front row, got my notes ready, I'm like eager to learn. And fast forward, real estate school does not teach you anything valuable about making money in real estate, providing the right types of services that clients deserve. It doesn't teach you about taxes. It doesn't teach you about a profit and loss. It doesn't teach you how to run a business. They teach you definitions that the state of California believes you should know, which you will never see in practice. It's actually pretty ridiculous. It's a 150 question exam and you can miss like 35.
Oh, wow.
It does
That's
not,
huge.
it doesn't prepare you at all. During the licensing courses, we never looked at a residential purchase agreement, which is the legal document that connects buyers and sellers and enters them into an agreement.
They never went over that? Oh, wow.
And their answer was, partner up with a broker, and brokers will have certain ways they want you to fill it out. It's a total liability thing. Like, oh, we're going to release this liability, and just your broker will tell you. Anyways, enough about that. But I took it very, very serious. I studied all of it. I learned about riparian rights and how many square feet are in an acre, and the bundle of sticks was how ownership was transferred back in Native American days, and all this stuff that, while it's interesting, it will never help you be a better real estate agent. So
Gotcha, yeah.
yeah.
And so once you finished the school, during that time, what was like the whole market? What was it like?
Good question. So I was completely oblivious to what happened in the United States with the market crash. I was living in Korea. I was in tune with what was going on in Korea, and I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening here. And the market crashed. When I told people that I wanted to move back to the United States and pursue a job in real estate, people, including some family members, said, "Are you kidding? That's like the worst possible timing. The market crashed. People who've been doing this full time for many years are losing their houses. You don't know anybody. You don't know the neighborhoods in San Diego. You don't know anything about real estate or San Diego."
Right. Wow.
And it didn't bother me. It actually motivated me a little bit more. I don't care Every market has an opportunity. It's what I want to do. It's not about the money. It's just about if I can just pay bills and live in San Diego where people pay to go on vacation,
Right.
then I've succeeded. That's
Right,
all I want,
exactly.
is to not have to move back to South Korea and become an employee of the company that I sold.
Yeah.
That was my motivation.
Yeah.
And my first year was rough. My first year, we've since connected on Facebook, and you saw the post I made about my first year in real
yes,
estate.
that is. Yes.
I have my tax return framed as a reminder. My first year in real estate, I made $586.
Yes, I saw that and I was like, wow. After that, and after having that and wanting to still to pursue
Yes,
that is that's tough.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy in any market. It's not easy in this market. It wasn't easy in that market. It is not like what the majority of people think this career is. It's not like that at all. Yeah, my first year was tough. I wasn't partnered with the right person. I was given some bad advice. I did not have a mentor. I was looking at people that I thought were successful in the business and trying to copy them. Big mistake, I think, in any industry. The first couple years were really, really rough. And fortunately, things did turn around. I was persistent and went to lots and lots of training events to learn actual tools that would help me be successful. And now it's been 13 years.
Wow. And so after 13 years,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you've seen the market go up and down and
Big
all.
time.
Yeah. And then especially with like the whole thing that went down with all the foreclosures and all that for people getting loans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you have, like, what was your experience when that all happened?
Yeah, great question. So I was partnered with the wrong broker. I had no idea what I was doing. I was chasing my tail, spending money, trying to get business, just doing it all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually having lunch at the El Cortez in Bankers Hill, like downtown area.
Yeah, that's a nice, yeah. It's a
Having
nice
lunch, and there was a table behind me. There were two real estate attorneys that were having a conversation about all of these foreclosures that they're getting and how they're spending time in court processing the foreclosure, but that they need a real estate agent to facilitate the sale and keep it all in-house instead of referring it out. I turned to them, we struck up a conversation, got my broker's license, became the broker for their law firm, and during that time, I was doing all foreclosures, which really put me on the map for doing a lot of transactions, finally getting some substantial income.
Right.
And that was the thing. I was so naive and didn't know really anything when I came here. People were complaining about how bad the market was.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at the stats, a lot of sales were happening, but they were short sales and they were foreclosures. So I'm like, okay, so sales are happening. They're not traditional sales, they're foreclosures, but real estate agents are involved and they're getting paid.
Yeah.
I just need some of those.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody was thinking that it wasn't easy, but then when I partnered with those two attorneys,
Yeah.
that gave me direct access to asset managers, and then that's what I did exclusively for 4 years, was working with asset managers and selling distressed properties.
Wow.
So I did see that market. That market did really well for me. You know, it worked out really well. And then as the market changed, my value proposition changed, my model changed, my team changed, everything changed.
Wow.
And even my company, I ended up setting up my own company and separating from them.
So you started through that. You started your own real estate company, and
Right.
And what year was that?
Good question. That must have been like 2012, 2013.
Okay.
So I brought on quite a few agents to their brokerage. It was a unique business model to where a real estate broker was working at a law firm. And then I brought on agents and I trained those agents, and eventually I set them down and said, hey guys, I'm spending a lot of time growing your business and I enjoy what I'm doing, but I need to be brought in with an ownership stake.
Yeah.
And they said no. And I said, okay, well, respectfully, I'm stepping out. I'm starting my own company. It's not going to be tomorrow, probably next month, but I'm going to put things in motion to do that.
Right.
And that was, 2000, 13, I believe.
13? Okay.
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you made that decision, were you a little bit nervous stepping out on your own, or did you feel like you had enough tools and resources to be able to handle that?
Both.
Okay.
So I felt that I had the resources, I had the knowledge. I knew that I would incur expenses that I wasn't used to, such as brick and mortar. I had a really nice office, hiring a staff, hired an assistant, hired agents, had to pay for my own insurance. And there was a lot that came with it that just came with being a business owner.
Right.
And at one point, when I first opened that company, my thought was the more agents I have, the more successful I look, the more agents are doing deals, the more money I make out of that.
Right.
And it was an absolute disaster because
Oh,
there
wow.
wasn't a real model that I was plugging into. It was just hire agents that I believe are talented, train them, and they're going to be on a split with me. And every time they do a deal, I get a cut out of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Was the idea.
Right.
The reality was that I was spending a lot of time training them, helping them, just to get asked the same question. So then they would find themselves in a situation I trained them on,
Right.
and then they came to me and basically needed me to do it for them.
So you were doing twice the work and paying them as well.
Yeah, essentially,
Wow.
exactly.
Wow.
So that didn't work at all. So at that time, I had 10 agents. I had a full-time assistant, like a 2,000 something square foot office,
Wow.
and it was not fun. It was not what I expected it to be. I
Right.
worked a lot, and we were not that productive. Fast forward to today, as of right now, and this will change in the next couple of weeks, but as of right now, I don't have an assistant. I have one team member, and we're doing more now than I ever did, even close to, with that team of 10. So it's
Really?
about the right,
Wow.
yeah, it's the right people. It's the quality over quantity, and didn't happen overnight.
Right.
I went through quite a few people, gave people chances, just didn't mesh well with some personality types, and
Yeah.
and it took a while to really hone in what I have now. Now, to really boil it down, I'm on the listing side. I only work with sellers. He's on the buyer side. He only works with buyers. And it is such a crystal clear separation.
Yeah.
He is in the trenches of this current market, which is really crazy, and it evolves and changes every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's very in tune with that. I'm very in tune on the listing side. We communicate frequently. The left hand always knows what the right is doing.
Nice.
When he sees something that listing agents are doing that we could incorporate, and vice versa. When I get offers on my properties where somebody's included a creative term that separates their buyer from the competition, I share that with him. So I set him up for success to work with the
Right.
buyers, and it's great.
That is awesome. It sounds
Yeah.
like it's running smooth. I
Yeah.
mean, given the market that goes up and down and is so unpredictable, it sounds like
Right.
you guys kind of got a smooth thing going.
Yeah, and with that market up and down, like you said, so the name of my company is Blue Chip Realty Group.
Uh-huh.
And a blue chip, so I took that from the stock market. A blue chip stock is one that gives returns to its investors and clients regardless of market conditions. And so that's what I'm achieving now with my company, is that regardless of what the market is doing, there's an
Yeah.
opportunity. Regardless of what you're hearing in the media,
Yeah.
there are opportunities. Even like as of the filming of this, a lot of buyers are so frustrated because of how competitive it is.
Yes.
But there are opportunities. There are ways to structure those offers. There are ways to minimize the feelings of frustration for buyers.
So I know my cousin actually being one of them that's looking to purchase a house. He's like, "Man, people are up bidding and people are
Right.
buying the house without even looking at it right now." I don't know if that's because of the interest rate or what's going on, but he's like, we cannot get a house for like the life of us. Like, we already got it pre-approved and all this stuff, but every
Yeah.
single time we put an offer down on a house, it seems like someone's there putting 20 grand more.
Right. So there's a way. So just speaking about exactly what you said, someone else is putting 20 grand. There's a thing called an escalator clause, and it is a way to guarantee that the buyer has the highest offer. Now, I know this isn't always the best thing, and it's something that you have to consult with your buyer on. And but if you want to remove that term from the others, from the competition, what you do is, for additional financing on the purchase agreement, you write buyer shall pay $1,500 above any other verified competing offer. So now your offer is the highest offer by $1,500. The only exception is if someone else does an escalator clause and puts $5,000, just for example. But let's say that doesn't happen. Okay. So if you put the escalator clause in, you are now going to have the highest offer. The word verified competing offer is critical, because what that means is a listing agent has to show you the offer that they're using to trigger your escalation clause, your escalator clause. So now, say most offers are $20,000, you're going to get that property just by paying an extra $1,000, $15,000, whatever you put in the escalator clause. You're now going to be the highest net offer. So that should put you in the driver's seat. But so it's interesting, that worked 2 weeks ago and further. 3 months ago, people weren't doing escalator clauses. Now a lot of people are. Yeah. But now people are bidding properties up so much. I'm closing one in Pacific Beach next week that's $110,000 over asking, which is 14% over our asking price, which is outrageous. Wow. People are coming in swinging with these just crazy numbers. Yeah. Believe it or not, as we're filming this right now, if I get 5 offers and people are coming in with those crazy high numbers, they're not guaranteed to get the property, because, and now I'm assuming financing is involved in this scenario, because it typically is, with that number, if they have not structured something in regards to their appraisal contingency or the gap that they're willing to pay, I don't care about that number. So say I have a $700,000 property in South Poway, which I have coming up next week. $700,000 property, and somebody comes in swinging with $900,000. Now you would think, holy moly, that's a crazy number. Right. We got to go with it. Wrong. If everything else is structured without any creativity, what they're doing is they're getting in the driver's seat, hoping that it doesn't appraise, and it. On my property I have coming to the market next week, it won't. There's no way 900 would appraise. So unless they're writing that they're willing to pay the difference between the appraisal and the contract price, that number means nothing to me. And I've had this happen. I've had numbers come in really high, but they leave the box checked for appraisal contingency. And we all know it's not going to appraise. At that price. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So price doesn't necessarily dictate who's going to be in the driver's seat. Right now, and this is interesting too, I'll get 5 offers and they're all high numbers, and typically what determines who's going to get that property from who doesn't is either they remove their appraisal contingency altogether, or they write how much above the appraisal, not to exceed the contract price, they're willing to pay. Gotcha. And usually that number, so I'll have 3 offers, and 2 of them will say 20,000, and 1 will say no appraisal contingency at all. Probably going to go with that one. Or if 2 say 20, 1 says 40, we're going with the 40. It's just, and this changes. This will change again, maybe even by the time that this video's live. And that's why Ryan, my lead buyer's agent, and I were so in tune with these market changes that we have to stay ahead of them. Right. It's crazy right now. So now flashback to after you started your company and started going, pretty sure it took you a while to actually kind of get in your groove. Yeah. But now I don't know if you mind sharing your numbers or anything with us. Sure. But from where you started to where you're at now with your real estate company. So my first year in real estate, it's like 584, 586. I made under $600 my first year in real estate, because right before the end of the year, I did a lease for somebody. After showing them like 10 properties, I did a lease, and that was what I got paid on it. That's the only money I made. So last year I sold, I think, around $48.6 million worth of real estate last year. Wow. And I took a lot of time off too. That's something that I gauge, because I'm not 7 days a week. I have a family and I have hobbies, and I remind myself often I'm in San Diego to enjoy San Diego.
Right.
If I'm sitting at a desk, I can do that in other places.
Right.
So last year was almost 50 million. This year, I'm sure that we'll do 80 million.
Wow.
Year to date, I think we're already at like 37, 38. I think we're just at about 40 million. Last month, I sold 11 homes.
Wow.
So that
In 1 month.
yes, in 1 month.
Wow.
Last month was right around $10 million. And it took me 2 or 3 years. That in the beginning, that was a good year for me when I did
Yeah.
10 million in a year, and
In
that
a
was
year,
a good
yeah.
year. And now, and it's been pretty consistent. Almost every month, we're at about 10 million a month right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So I'm pretty happy about
Yeah,
that. And I'm
definitely.
enjoying it too, because I've had very good months, I've had good quarters, I've had good years. But you know, I paid for it too. I worked a ton, and now the systems we have in place. So recreationally, I'm a pilot,
Uh-huh.
and in the cockpit we have checklists for everything that we do. No matter how much time you have in that cockpit,
Yeah.
you are going off of checklists just to make sure you don't miss something, because it could be important.
Right.
So I treat my
right.
business the same way. So we have checklists, and that allows us to really stay on top of all the different moving parts with the different clients,
Right.
to ensure that the level of service they're getting is not diminished, and allowing us to scale.
Wow. That is awesome. That is a very, very inspiring story for sure.
Thank you.
Especially
Appreciate
for
that.
somebody that is passionate about the real estate, business and wanting to
Yeah.
get into it. What is something, if somebody's watching right now,
Mhm.
what is one or two things that you would share with them that you wish somebody had told you when you were first getting
Oh.
into it?
Something I could talk about for the rest of this haircut easily.
Uh-huh.
I'm passionate about teaching agents. I'm a good person to teach agents, not because I know everything, but because I've made every mistake.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Making every mistake will give you a life lesson, and it's one that if you experience it, you should share with other people to
Mm.
prevent them from having to go down that same road.
Right.
The number one thing, if I could only, well, God, it's tough.
That's why I said one or two, because I
Okay,
know
so here are
there's
the
a lot.
top. Here are the top two.
Okay.
Number one is find a mentor. Find somebody who is, for whatever reason, invested in your success.
Mm.
Whether it's personal growth, personal feelings of achievement to be able to pass on knowledge. Find somebody who will be a mentor to you, somebody who you can trust, who can help you.
Okay.
So there's the analogy of you're in the dark and there's a snow-covered mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're really determined, you're going to get to the top of that mountain. It's dark, it's snowy, and you can figure out which way's up.
Right.
You may be completely tired, dehydrated, malnourished. You can make it to the top of that mountain by yourself.
Right.
But if somebody has made it to that mountain, to the top of the mountain before you,
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be footprints in the snow. And if those footprints exist, think about how much easier it is to climb a snow-covered mountain by putting your feet in the footprints of someone who went before you.
Right. Right.
Now, I'm
okay.
not using that analogy to say I'm king of the hill standing on top of a snow-covered mountain. I'm not.
Right.
I have people that I'm following,
Yeah.
and I would encourage people to find someone else that they can follow up. That is critical, because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Right.
Plenty of people are very successful in this industry. You can copy them. You
Mhm.
can. There's no reason to try to figure out your own way.
Right.
So that's number one, and that is before the next one.
Okay.
Because number two,
Mm-hmm.
if you have the right mentor, they're going to tell you number two, and they're going to tell you 3, 4, 5, and all the ones I don't have time for.
Right.
Number two is to very clearly establish your goals, and these don't just have to be business related. Know where you're going, have your goals, and write them down.
Mm.
Don't just think about them, don't put them on your phone. I personally physically write them out, put them somewhere where you see them daily.
Okay.
As your goals change, or as your progress changes, if you're tracking ahead of where your goals are, adjust those goals.
Mm.
but look at them frequently. So the whole thing with New Year's resolution, some people think it's a bunch of crap. Maybe it is, but not to me.
Yeah.
To me, it's something I've been doing for many years. I have them all. I come up with them. I have several categories: health, travel, family vacations, time spent off, and then of course there's work related, financial. So I have these categories, and I write them out every year.
Yeah.
Sign them and date them, and I post them where I can see them.
Nice.
And I have them all going back years, and it's really interesting to look back.
Yeah, and
But-
know where you've now
Yes.
come and what you've accomplished.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You know, I'm gonna have to watch this again and take notes.
Yeah, I mean, really, like the whole thing with writing down, there's that movie, there's a book first, and I think the movie came second, about the secret visualization and all of that.
Oh yeah.
There's something to be said about that. I think the movie is a little out there.
Okay.
Some of the people that are talking in that, I think it's a little bit beyond what I believe in. But
Yeah.
however, there is still a lot of truth to that.
Gotcha.
I'm big time into setting goals, and some are selfish goals. It's, if I reach this, I'm going to treat myself with that. And then what my dream car is, or dream whatever,
Right.
that will be the background of my computer. And maybe it's materialistic, maybe it's not, I don't know. But you set those goals, and they're different for different people.
Right.
And then you remember what you have to do to get there.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I know, and he's got just an incredible Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something, I'm trying to remember exactly his words. It's something along the lines of, it was never about the car, it was about the journey. And it's the car to him is a reminder of everything he had to do to get there.
Right.
It's not about driving around in a
It's not-
Lamborghini.
yeah.
That part doesn't
Exactly.
hurt. But it was
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
journey to get there and what he had to do
To
get there. And I wish I could remember word for word what he said, but it's something
Yeah.
along those lines, and I related with that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us today. Hopefully, my viewers, they got something. I know I got quite a couple of tips out of there, even if I'm not in the real estate business and everything.
Yeah.
Just the whole mindset of having your goals in front of you and having your tasks in front of you, whatever it is that you choose to do. Make sure you have a plan and have a checklist, and everything's checked off that list
That's
as
it.
you're moving forward.
100%.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Arlo. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you guys. If you guys like this, like and subscribe. And I should be putting out a video every week, so stay tuned. Thank you.